Bonjour! Today I want to show you how to make quiche Lorraine. Quiche Lorraine is one of our favorite sort of easy dishes, weeknight dishes, or maybe a nice lunch or even breakfast. The quiche Lorraine comes from the eastern part of France and it's made with bacon, Gruyere cheese and eggs. I'm sure you all have had it before, and it's just a great meal, very quick, very easy, and everybody always loves it. So I wanted to show you how to make this today. And so I'm going to start anyway. So first of all, I add 1.5 cups of flour to my food processor. Then I add a half a teaspoon of salt and some butter, a stick of butter that I've cut up into pieces. So I'm going to put all that into the food processor and whiz it up. And what you will get once you do that, you will get a very sort of sandy, it almost looks like sand flour once you have mixed up the flour and the butter. Okay. After I have mixed the butter and the flour, I've also beaten a whole egg, and I'm going to add 3 teaspoons of ice cold water. And you mix all that up. And you add it to your food processor, and you finish blending the dough, mixing it up so that you obtain a nice homogeneous ball of dough. Okay, I've just finished mixing the dough. I choose to not film that. It just makes so much noise and you cannot even hear what I'm saying anyway. And I've obtained this wonderful ball of dough, which I flatten a little bit, and I wrap up in cling film and saran wrap. And I leave it in the fridge for about half hour. Okay, so I had taken the dough out of the fridge after leaving it to rest for about 20 to 30 minutes. And now I've just rolled it out into a nice big round disc, circle that I'm going to put into my quiche dish. My quiche dish, which I have also put butter in, greased it, so that nothing sticks. And again, I like to use my metal rolling pin, which I always leave in the freezer because it's nice and cold, and it really works well with dough that you roll out, especially dough that has a lot of butter. That way it doesn't get too soft, and it makes it much easier to roll out your dough. So I have a recommendation for that in my website. So that was just my little oven that told me that the temperature is reached. So I'm going to put in the dough, make sure it spreads out nicely into this quiche dish. Hopefully you can all see this. And you really kind of squeeze it down into the, edges, into the corners, or whatever corners. You don't have corners in a circular dish, but anyway, you make sure that the dough is nicely pressed down, and then you kind of press it over the edges. Because what it tends to do when it bakes, it tends to spring back, and then your dough ends up, you don't end up having that nice crust around the edges of your quiche. And I kind of press into it. And then I'm going to, as I said, par-bake this quiche. I put a piece of parchment paper over the dough, and I have some pie weights, which I'm going to add into this. So this allows the dough to bake without rising and getting all bubbly. You can use beans, you can use other things. You don't have to have pie weights, but especially beans would work, dry beans. And now I'm going to put that in the oven for 15 to 20 minutes, just enough time to have it par-baked. So here we go. So this is my little Wonder Oven. Again, it's from Breville, but it works really well, especially when you don't want to start the big oven. And it bakes very nicely, very fast, and again, very evenly. So I par-baked the quiche for 15 minutes with the pie weight. So I'm going to take those off now. Just put them back in the bowl. They're a bit hot, so you don't want to touch them when they come out of the oven. And as you can see, I have now this pre-baked quiche, a wonderful dough. Anyway, so while the quiche was parbaking in the oven, I fried up some pancetta. So I like to buy the pancetta, which is cubed before. So this is a Wegmans brand, but all different brands make it. Or if you buy slices, cut it into cubes. Pancetta is just very nice to use for quiche Lorraine. It does have a better taste than fried up bacon or ham. So I find that that gives you the most authentic quiche Lorraine. All right, so I'm going to spread out the fried pieces of pancetta, and it's important to fry it because if it's not fried, if you just put it in there uncooked, it's just kind of, it doesn't have that nice crunch that you get when you fry up bacon or pancetta. Over that, I will put some Swiss cheese. I prefer Gruyere, but any type of Swiss cheese is fine. And you can just be generous, but I generally put about a cup of Gruyere on top of the pancetta. Okay, and then we're going to beat up some eggs. So I'm going to beat up 4 eggs, and I'm going to add 1 1/4 cup of cream to that. Okay, so I'm going to just be doing this quickly. And there we go. All right, so here we go. Mix it really well as if you were making scrambled eggs. Add 1 1/4 cup of cream. And some nutmeg that I grate. I like to use fresh nutmeg, but if you have grated nutmeg, that's fine too. So I just, a little bit, not too much. You don't want to, it has a strong flavor, but it's nice in eggs. Works really well. And some salt and pepper. Again, not too much salt because the bacon, the pancetta is quite salty, but you want to give it some flavor. Then you pour that egg mix over your prepared quiche, the quiche that has the pancetta and the Gruyere cheese in it, the grated Gruyere. I'm not sure if I mentioned that, it needs to be grated. All right, so here we go. And I will put that into the oven at 375 degrees, again, just like when I par-baked it, and bake it for about 30 minutes until it's golden, and turn it around halfway just to make sure that it has the same golden color on all different sides of the quiche. So I've taken the quiche out of the oven after 20 minutes rather than 30. That was a bit too long, I realized. It was turning a nice golden color, and it's done. So you can see, if you have that golden color, this is the way it should look, and it gives you a wonderful quiche. One of the things I forgot to mention is that if you can cover up the crust, I have this ring that I can put on there, or what I often do is I take some aluminum foil and kind of wrap it around the crust so that the crust doesn't get too brown. It's just nicer than, if that crust is burnt and the rest is sort of golden to achieve that effect. So again, as I was saying earlier, this is very easy, very quick to make, very versatile. You can add roasted vegetables, like we like roasted peppers, strips of roasted pepper along with the cheese if you don't want to do the pancetta. Or I like to fry up some mushrooms and some spinach and put it into the quiche alongside with the cheese and the egg mixture, or all sorts of things. You can be creative. In any case, it's a great dish to make ahead of time. So if you are busy in the evening, driving around for activities, then you have at least a dish that you can come home to that's ready to eat and to sit down to. And if you just dish it up with a salad, you have a great family meal. All right, I hope you enjoy, and if you make it or if you have some creative ideas, I would love it if you would share them with me on my Facebook page. Thank you. Bye.